Welcome to the Insider's Insight podcast, where we share with you the thoughts of the individuals who are working for projects that are changing the world. Thank you to our sponsor, Creditcoin, the building blocks of trust. For more details, please visit the show notes below. Welcome to Insider's Insight. Today we have Arvin from Sold Out NFTs to tell us how to grow a community in Web3. But before we begin that discussion, Arvin, maybe you could tell us a bit about yourself. How did you get into crypto and more about your project?
Yeah, absolutely. So I got into crypto in 2016 because a friend of mine, Nick, he sold everything he had, turned into Bitcoins. This guy is like a 9-to-5er. He sold his car. He spent all his savings. He literally everything he had, he sold them and just bought Bitcoins. At the time, I thought it's crazy. I just did not understand it. But then down the line, that was kind of my introduction. And then in 2021, so by this time,
Can I just cut in, Arvin? What happened to your friend?
So he's actually, so the story goes, a few years after that, so this was 2016, he told me, I mean, he was actually doing it even before that, but 2016 is when we were going to, this is back in LA, we were going to a lot of bars, different places, and then I would just see him on his phone, just looking at basically the pricing for like different coins. And then, so he told me all about it, and then I didn't make much out of it, and I wanted to just not get into it, to be honest, at that point. And then a few years after that, he calls me, he goes, how's everything? So at this time, he actually moved to Ukraine. And then I was still in LA at the time. And then, so I asked him, I'm like, so how's work? Are you still, same company? What's happening? Are you working remotely and all that? He's like, what work? I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, he's just not working. He's just traveling. So he made quite a bit of money, and things quite work out for him quite well. And so that was his his success that I would say inspired me into, not because I didn't want to work, because even for me it's actually not that way. For me, even the more success I have, the more I want to work and produce things. But it was a very dramatic change in someone's life, personal and professional, that inspired me to actually take it seriously.
Is he still traveling, living that life, or?
Do you know what? I haven't since. So we used to live like we almost were neighbors. And then since we obviously went on separate ways, different countries, we haven't been in touch as much. I actually tried. His phone wasn't working, so I haven't been able to actually get hold of him. I don't know what this guy's up to these days, but I'm sure he's up to good stuff.
Wow, what a story! So he sold everything, put it into Bitcoin in 2016 or even earlier than that. And as long as he, didn't sell it at $3,000 and he sold it, or he's even still got it, right? Because he went from 19 grand and then dropped all the way to 3, but now it's at 21 point something thousand. So yeah, I mean, he would have made a lot of money.
Yeah.
The story kind of reminds me of CZ's story.
Is that right?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, because CZ apparently sold his house and went all in on Bitcoin.
Wow.
But who knows, right? Might be true, might not be true.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it was very dramatic, especially because say if it was some entrepreneur was doing it, that's different. But for him, not that he's not an entrepreneur, just judging by his characters and personality, but more of just his profession at the time was just working a 9-to-5 job. And usually I wouldn't expect a person working a 9-to-5 job at, some tech company will just be like, screw everything, I'm going to sell everything and just go like to some new venture. That's a rare thing I see. So, that was for me is obviously very unexpected. And then that made a obviously huge impression on me to look into it.
And what year would that be, would you say?
So obviously I started looking into it maybe 2018-ish. And then 2021 is when there was this artist from Italy. And by the way, I have some Italian genes as well. So anyways, this guy from Italy, he approached me in 2021. I want to say October 2021. And he said, you're doing all these paid ads for public companies. And specifically, so my background is doing paid ads for public companies, actually reaching short-term and long-term investors, and then creating webinars for them, nurture them with emails, with display ads, programmatic ads, all sorts of things to just essentially get them to invest more into the stock of the company, and then also hold on to it. And so this guy from Italy, he goes, you're doing all these ads for these companies. What if you just did it for this, for his one-of-one collection? And then I was like, okay, well, marketing is marketing. As long as I understand what you're offering, know who we're targeting, and I created the whole strategy for him, and then I said, let's do it, let's try it out. Very small connection, and then we sold it out in a week, and then I was just like, okay, this is either really cool thing I just I guess stumbled upon, or this must have been a fluke. So then I thought, okay, let's just put up some ads out there on different freelance platforms, and just say I'll do this just as a side thing. And I had a rush of people to the point where I was sleeping maybe 2-3 hours a day, just basically delivering to people as for the huge demand it was. And of course, back in 2021, somewhere around, let's say November, there was a massive demand, right? So that's right around November, December, that's when the search inquiries for NFTs actually peaked as well. And it actually went higher than search inquiries for crypto. And so obviously I was just inundated with requests from people to assist them in marketing and selling out their NFTs. And then at some point I thought, okay, obviously I have something that some other people maybe don't have, that background that they can bring from Web 2. And then I also just on a personal note, I've always just been really fascinated with art. So whether it be it painting, dancing, all sorts of things, not necessarily doing it myself, but just people I surround myself with, and the whole concept of just being around artists really appealed to me, and so that's it was just a really good fit as for my lifestyle, professional life, and then the service I was delivering was also not something other people were delivering, and so it ended up being a really good choice. And it just all came together, and yeah, so since then, just been doing it, and right now have a success rate of somewhere around 78%. Worked with a lot of collections, sold out a lot of them inside the bear market as well. Like past 3 months, we sold out 3, like almost 1 a month, and just continuously expanding inside this industry, just figuring out. And I guess the other fascinating thing for me is that in this industry is that not only I get to work with artists that I would literally, like, these guys pay me to work with them. I would literally pay them to work with me. Like, it's just fun for me to just talk to these people and them showing me their artwork, showing me, video, audio, all sorts of things. And then also really cool people. I would just hang out with them in real life as well. I mean, not all of them, but most of them. And then so it was just really cool. And then also, of course, worked out as far as results we were producing. So yeah, so then I just kept going. And then I have a, I would say, inclination to solve problems with technology as well. So more of a growth hacking type of mentality. And then that was missing inside the Web3. So I just give you a context. I created I went to some boot camp by MIT, and then got a scholarship to just I didn't even know coding, and then just went from nothing in coding to created a game, like an iOS game. Never published it, but it was like really fun. So I now inside the Web3 industry, there's been a lot of challenges of for example, sometimes people buy a lot of fake followers, and then you can't really remove them on a scale. So then what we did to just out of necessity created like a Twitter API, let's say script where it just removes all these fake followers, and like on Twitter. And instead of you doing it manually, it just does it by like by automation. So things like this also is like very appealing to me, where this industry has a lot of these opportunities where there are not many people who have maybe the skills or even just the time and passion maybe to do these things, to find solutions like this. And then I get to do that, and it's just very rewarding, very exciting.
Just quickly, Arvin. So your background is in marketing. So were you working in marketing before you started sold out NFTs? And what allowed you to make the transition to go all in on this project?
Yeah, so I started marketing with just I would say far before I got into marketing NFTs. I started marketing even small businesses. Like for example, there was I want to say one of the early businesses I picked up to do their marketing was this beauty salon. They were $60,000 in debt, and then in a year, I brought them into positive 100K, and just did that through pretty much Facebook ads, fixed their branding, fixed their delivery as well, of course, got them a lot of reviews, created a really good social media presence for them, and then also figured out like little things that they could do to stand out from the rest of the crowd. They went from this like shoebox type of like office to now they have multiple locations in Vancouver, Canada, and each of those locations are pretty like large as well. So I started actually working with even very small budgets too. Like the advertising budget they had was like $500 a month, and nothing, compared to later on, down the line, I worked obviously with public companies, and that was up to like 500K a month. So obviously a lot more, but I started as like small ones, like very small ones, and like really terrible companies too, like terrible companies. Like words cannot describe how terrible some of these companies I picked up were at the beginning, and it was just so hard. I don't know if it was me wanting to prove something to myself, or it was just bad luck, just getting all these companies that were just not really like ROI positive, didn't have much money, but regardless, I would pick them up, and then in, let's say, 6 months, in a year, I would turn them into ROI positive, and then teach their, their secretary, their employee, or just maybe some marketing assistant to just continue it for me. And then I will move on to the next project.
So you've always had your own business. I thought you'd have worked for an agency, but it sounds like you are pretty entrepreneurial. You
I've
things by yourself.
I've always had my business, and even like, I want to say maybe, I honestly haven't worked as an employee much there, and even that time what I did, it was during college, where and it wasn't long, but it was during college where I basically went to my so I came up with this concept where I was like, okay, I gotta make money from the skills I have. So the skills at the time I had was teaching people how to do better in their, like sciences. And then the other skill I had was I just knew I was just above average with technology. So I thought, okay, cool. I could be a tutor. And I could also be just basically working at the campus for just the technology, like I guess IT department. So applied to both. Well, I guess the tutoring was just basically just I created an ad and just say how I do this, and then people would come. But the IT one, I just applied to it. But then I didn't just want to, just be like a kind of like a customer service IT. I just created my own job inside that. So I talk to the I guess the let's say the decision maker or like the employee of the IT department of this college. And then I said, I'm always been interested in the network security. Can you create something where you teach me a lot of things, and then also I get paid like good, like, and then so I ended up just doing, so what I was doing in college was essentially like installing routers, like all these modems, and then just all to do with like cat I can't even remember some of these terms, but it was like, I think Cat 6 cables and things like that. So we would just, everything to do with modem, installing modems and figuring out, troubleshooting the problems they had. That was literally my job. And I didn't know a single thing about it, before I started doing it. And it was actually probably one of the most enjoyable things I've done in my life. We just learned a lot, and it was pretty cool too. Like there's the technology they had, like, we could actually see where, like, we had a heat map where we could see where each user, meaning each student, is at the time, from their phones by them just connecting to the college campus Wi-Fi. And to me, that was like very exciting thing, like really cool thing to just, I don't know, it was just those little things that I just was gravitated toward. And then I was getting paid well as well. But also that was kind of like a made up job. I almost created that for myself. It didn't exist. There wasn't any, posting for hiring in that position. I just created that for myself.
Okay, interesting. So then you moved on, you started doing marketing for some of these businesses, and that got bigger and bigger. And then you got into crypto marketing, specifically NFTs. So maybe you can share with our listeners some of the tips you learned from, more traditional marketing, traditional web marketing, and how they fit in with NFTs and the whole Web3 narrative.
Yeah, so in the bull market, it was really weird because we didn't have to do much of traditional marketing, I would say. Like, it didn't matter what the website looked like. It didn't matter the copywriting of the website. It didn't matter, let's say, if the product was good, if it was presented well. Like, none of those things mattered, which was really counterintuitive. And then I would say maybe since May of 2022 onward, that's actually, so the NFT space, I would say maybe even Web3 space in general, looks more like the Web2 space. So you still need to have a good product, need to have a great offer. You need to present it really well. You need to have a community that buys it. You need to, have, obviously a way to convert your community, to be buyers, all of those things. And then inside this, I would say Web2 space, there's a lot of, paid ads. There's a lot of, CRO. There's a lot of, let's say, like landing page optimizations, things like that didn't exist in the Web3. And so I brought a lot of that from the Web2 space. And so I think one thing I disagree with a lot of, maybe it's maybe a lot of people, and also maybe in somewhat an unpopular opinion of mine, that is, people say Web3 marketing is completely different than Web2, which is true in a sense of, you need like different type of people. There's different types of socials. There's some new things you gotta do that's just good for Web3 marketing. But then at the end of the day, marketing is marketing. So you need to find this person that is going to be a great buyer, and have a great offer for them and deliver to them. That's basically how you build a business. And that's true in Web3 as well. It's just, it was unfortunate that people thought it's not, and then ended up making a lot of people just, being very skeptic these days. And just, especially the ETH community is very skeptic, very jaded. So that's, I would say that's as far as the kind of, the concepts that work into Web3 from Web2 as well. But also another thing I would say is, people used to say, and that was true, and people used to say it's all about the community. And also that's another unpopular maybe opinion of mine, is that it's not all about the community at all. Like, you don't want to It's just like saying, so think about how Bitcoin, for example, has a huge community. Amazing people, actually, a lot of good friends of mine, they're inside that community. Some of them are like Bitcoin maxis as well. And now I talk to them, and then they're just like raving fans of this, the community, the Bitcoin itself. And it's not like some dude just came out and was like, okay, I'm going to build this huge email list, and then I'm going to build this like really cool, group of, like Discord members and Twitter, followers. And then I'm going to launch this thing called Bitcoin. Like, that's not how it works. And so I think that's the part people are missing, is like, okay, any great thing that happened inside this community, it's not like that. It's not all about community at all. It was kind of all about community maybe in the bull market, because if you did have a community, you could sell anything to them, which was not really, let's say, I mean, it was its own time. I was gonna say it's not really healthy for the ecosystem, but I mean, that's a different conversation. So it definitely had its own time. And now, I would say it's more apparent to people that it's not all about the community. It's all about everything. It's about community. It's about product market fit. It's about how you convert the community. It's about not doing all these things that just makes, like, basically doing all these fake stuff. So fake stuff meaning buying fake followers, pretty common, pretty common. Buying fake Discord members, buying fake people coming to your Twitter spaces, buying fake people doing like chatters in your Discord, all these fake stuff, like all of this just to showcase and say, hey, I have people, and then fake it till you make it. That, to me, that's not the proper way of doing things. And so, in fact, like just I would say past two projects I've advised, they both had, one of them had 22,000 followers, the other one had 40,000 followers. And like I mentioned to you, I have this script where it removes followers, right? So we just basically stripped it down to like almost 0 followers, and then it started from scratch. And now they have like a real community. So like that's I would say that those are the kind of things that I would say it's proper for Web3 versus what other people say or what other people claim to say, just because they want to sell, their services, like influencers or like some like promoters or things like that.
And what about building a Web3 community? What tips do you have there?
Yeah, so first thing I do, just as I previously alluded to, is just removing all the fake ones, because you can't build on a fake community. It just doesn't work. And logistically doesn't work, but also like the community is just, it's like you're just insulting their intelligence, to be honest. So just as far as the vibe, it doesn't work. And then also as far as logistically, because once you have a lot of fake people, every time you post something on your, let's say on your, especially social media platforms, not necessarily Discord, but social media platforms for sure. For example, Twitter, every time you post, no one's going to see it. And so that's a problem. And, so that's one of the first thing I do is basically removing all those fake stuff, everything that's fake. And then the second step, and the reason I say that is just because I don't know how, but a lot of people have convinced themselves that it's okay to just buy fake followers. And I'm not talking about like small brands. A lot of large brands do this too. And it's terrible. I mean, yeah, it not only doesn't work, it's just also, it's just problematic in so many different ways. So that's the first step. And the second step, I like to figure out, okay, why should people actually follow and become part of this community? Like, what's the reason, right? And if it's like, there's like different ways that you can build community inside, especially inside crypto. It's like sometimes people go after other people. Like, for example, their approach is, I'm going to make fun of this other community, or I'm going to, let's say, expose this type of other community, or basically they're going after other people. Like that's one angle. The other one is which I don't like, because it's just toxic. It's just negative. It's like also community you're building is just like that too. So it's like what are you gonna do with that? And then the I would say more of an angle that I like is just having an opinion about something and just standing up for it. Like really standing up for it. And that would be the reason for people to follow. So it's polarizing in a sense, but to be honest, anyone that's not so sometimes people say, oh, controversial, polarizing is not good. It's like, well, anything that people say that's not polarizing, and if someone has nothing to say that's polarizing, it's just completely inauthentic of them. Like there must be something. Like if we all just agree on everything, there's just like someone is just lying. Like, like it's just someone's being inauthentic. It can't be like that. That's just the nature of humans. And so that's the angle I like to go, is just finding what's true about that brand. And then really leaning into it. And then of course there's like more, there's other reasons. Like let's say, sometimes it's like, okay, maybe it's a problem that you're solving and then no one else is solving that. Or maybe you're offering, maybe the way you solve that problem is different. So there's like lots of different reasons, but you got to find that thing. It's not like, I think what people are mistaken with is just thinking, oh, as long as I'm in front of people will follow me. It's not like that. People, and actually, you know what? They will follow you, but it's so slow that you probably give up by the time you build any following of any substance. And so that's the second thing is, so first is like, okay, get rid of all the fixed stuff. And the second thing is figure out what you stand for, what the brand stands for, and then what you really want to dedicate and your let's say ecosystem about. And then the third thing is obviously taking care of your people. So meaning do things with them, like give value to them. So do Twitter Spaces, do LinkedIn audios, do like if you have a YouTube, just interview good people for them, create content for them, and then go to speak at like events, do podcasts like this, just be in front of them. And then touch, move, and inspire them really, and then that's practically how you, obviously in the simplest explanation, that's how you build this community. And there's a lot more to it, but this is on a high level. That's how you do it.
Wow, Arvin, that's amazing. Perfect. Since we don't have too much time left, I was hoping that before we finish this podcast, as this is the off-chain podcast, you could share a little bit about what you do in your off-chain time. And that could be whether you're not in crypto, you're not working on crypto projects, or if you're just not working in general.
Yeah. So I like to, every week I spend some time away from all these crypto stuff and doing so I like salsa bachata dance, and then so that's one of my hobbies, and then I learn every week, and then also I just dance socially as well with my girlfriend. And then when it comes to I don't have actually a lot of time, to be honest, especially right now. I don't sleep as much, I just a lot of my time is actually dedicated to, like, I have just picked up this large brand from an entertainment company, big movies, and they worked on different like their visual team is the same team actually worked on Avatar, Spider-Man, all this stuff. So there's just a lot going on, and then don't get a lot of free time, but salsa bachata is one thing. And then the other thing that I'm very passionate about is flying. So I have about maybe, let's say, 20 hours left to get my license. And then after that, I want to get into like acrobatic training. Like, I don't know if you've seen like Red Bull pilots, they go through tunnels and things like that. So those are just, I guess, passions outside crypto.
Well, awesome. Arvin, thank you so much for being a guest on this podcast. Hopefully we can do a Twitter space together. I will get my team to hopefully work something out, and we can start to merge our communities.
Yes, why not? Absolutely.
Well, that's all we have for this episode. Hope to catch you guys on the next episode. Bye, guys. The Insider's Insight podcast is meant for informational purposes only and should not be considered as financial or investment advice. Nothing expressed in this podcast should be construed as a solicitation, recommendation, endorsement, or offer to buy or sell any financial products. Information expressed by the host or guest of this podcast does not necessarily reflect any views of our sponsors.